ho, boys, and I've been waiting for this one for a long time. Uh, I am now almost 160 interviews deep, and it took me all of that time to get my special guest today. This is Stirring the Pot with Don Kincaid, and my very special guest, Ray Jazz. What's up, my man?
What's up, Don? What's up? I was hoping we could have done this in person, a couple months ago when everything was up and normal, but here we are. Next best thing, right?
Hey, everybody's schedule was super busy before this whole shit happened. So I don't take to that. I don't mind that at all because I know you boys and girls. You travel there, you travel over there. You're all over the place. So your schedules, I always work around. So it is nice to see you, though, my friend.
It's great to see you, my man. It's great to see you.
I would like to say, start off by a couple things. Love that beautiful smile. Love me some Ray Jazz. You're gorgeous. I swear you're gorgeous. Second off, with this whole crap that we got going on, I'd like to ask yourself, the fam, and all of that. Your friends, you're all good.
Yeah, everyone's good. Fortunately and unfortunately, I know a couple people that actually had the virus, and some people in the city that I knew, and that a couple people that worked at NYU, they came down with it, and some of them unfortunately passed away. So, we're feeling it, and, everyone's staying safe on my end. So, we're just hoping for the best here, because I am in Jersey. I'm in the New York City area. So we've been getting hit pretty hard with this whole thing. So fortunately for me, I'm safe. I'm good. I'm healthy. So I'm hoping everyone on your end, you're all good.
Yeah, we're good. My condolences for your friends and such. That's never a good thing. So my condolences there, but I'm glad yourself and your fam are good. We're good over here. I can't find El Jabroni. The son's a bitch. All hail El Jabroni. He got his face ripped off at Lone Survivor 2, and I lost El Jabroni. I think he's probably in like Guatemala somewhere with Dr. Hugo Strange getting some weird shit done to his face. I don't know what's going on here. I didn't mean to start it off with El Jabroni. I apologize.
Oh, that's all right. That's all right.
So what we do around here is we kind of talk to the fans. We get to know Ray Jazz. We talk some wrestling and where you been, where you're going, what you want to do, all that good stuff. I don't write nothing down, so just take the journey with me, please, because I'm not that bright. So we just like to have some fun,
Yeah, awesome. Off the cuff, best way to do it, right?
I like to say, by the seam of my ass, because I don't really have much going on back there. I'm built like a candle, if you will. But woo, I want to talk me some Ray Jazz now. I like to the men and women that I talk to. I like to kind of go back and where we first met. And I remember the first time we ever met. Wow, you came, if I'm not mistaken. Correct me if I'm wrong. You took the ride to Battlefront Pro Wrestling. Woo, with Mark Adam Haggerty and Mr. Matt Montana.
Matt Montana, yeah.
Yeah, I always call him like Matt Utah or Mike Michigan, or I always call him something different. So I'm glad I got that right. But is that correct, sir?
Matt Montana, the great outdoorsman. That's we go with.
His videos of late have been off the charts. Holy cow, that guy!
Oh, he's the man. He's the man.
The pictures and wanting to be outdoors and all of that is absolutely hilarious. But am I not mistaken by you came with Mr. Matt Montana and Mark Adam Haggerty, or no?
We actually came with Robbie E. Good old Robbie. So yeah, yep.
Okay, my bad. I apologize. Because there's a lot of personalities.
It's funny. Everywhere we are, Mark is. So that's a good thing, especially now because Mark is all over the place now, which is great. Mark is hustling, man. He's a lot of good stuff with him, and shout out to Mark Haggerty, man.
Big, huge shout out from STP, Don Kincaid, Ray Jazz. I love Mark Adam Haggerty, and I know we're here to talk Ray Jazz, but since we are on the topic, I bought his seminar. He has a $20 seminar. It's a marketing social media thing, and I'm not going to tell you a damn thing, because you should buy it yourself, your friend, my friend. What a cool seminar it is. He's done it live, but he's put it on the web now, the interwebs, as the kids say. And he's giving us it on the online, and it is amazing. Probably the best $20 I've ever spent in my entire life. You boys and girls that are watching, hopefully it's just not my dad and his dog. I apologize if it is. But if we get some eyes on this, look up Mark Adam Haggerty if you don't know who he is. If you don't know who he is, shame on you. Grab that seminar. It's amazing. Mr. Ray Jazz, are you aware of that seminar at all?
Yeah, I've seen it around, and social media and marketing yourself is pretty important. I studied that at NYU. I studied marketing, and especially now, especially in quarantine and everything, keeping your brand alive. Social media, I mean, it's free marketing, right? So if you really learn how to do that and learn how to get yourself out there and show yourself off, or get your brand out there the best you can. So there's a lot of good information out there, and there's a lot of great people giving some great advice. So
absolutely, and that is part. We love to talk about character on this show, what it really takes to be a wrestler, because it's not just looking good, it's not just being physical, it's the mental, it's the psychology, it's the respect, it's the going and setting up the ring and the chairs and the sweeping, it's always learning your craft, it's sitting and watching, it's looking at tapes, I could go on and on.
Yeah, it's 24/7, man. If there's no sleeping on training, whether it's in the ring, in the gym, studying film, working on your brands, it's 24/7.
And I kind of like to stay on that marketing part of it, because that right now, over the course of, I don't know, I'll say 5 years, pretty heavy. And I know the internet has been around for a while and you could use it in such ways in a while. But for the last 5 years or so, maybe 10, that's where it's really, really jumped up a lot. Being able to, like you said, it's free marketing, man. Get on there, do some stuff. Even if you really don't know how to use it. Like a lot of the men and women I talk to on the show, they say all of their stuff, but they don't really use Twitter. They have one, but they don't know how to use it. It doesn't matter. Throw a hashtag I'm number one, or hashtag, boo my opponent, or whatever. Do a little something. Everything makes a difference, right?
Yeah, definitely. And, that's the thing. If everyone's using it, you should too. Also, how are you going to stick out from everyone using it? So it's super important.
Now, since we're on the topic of the social media, keeping your name, your brand going as this whole thing is going on, I've actually seen you're doing a little something that you weren't doing before. Talk to us, the fans. Look at that smile. I love that smile. You're gorgeous. Talk to us, the fans. Talk to us, the fans, about what you got going on now that this whole thing has started.
Yeah, so I started the podcast, the Breakfast Buffet podcast. So I inspire listeners through casual conversations about ordinary life. People that have different careers in different aspects, and it's super important because I had this idea coming out of college because I didn't know what I wanted to do. Luckily for me, pro wrestling fell in my lap. I wrestled my whole life. I've wrestled since I was in kindergarten, and amateur wrestling, and I
couldn't tell. Holy crap!
So I was an all-American wrestler and everything, and once I took 7th in the country, and I was graduating from this college, I put all my efforts in this sport, and I'm like, what am I gonna do now? And I did some soul search and everything, and then pro wrestling was always there. I had a couple people in my life just guide me to it. Different aspects of my life that pointed me in that direction. So we could talk about those aspects later. But cool. the whole thing with the Breakfast Buffet podcast is giving people a simple source into what people do. I had teachers on there, special education teachers. I had a police officer on there. I had a couple different things. I have a doctor coming up. I have people that work in real estate. I have a yoga instructor. So I like to get as many people as I can, as many different careers as I can. An IT guy, social media people. I like to give people just information on what people do. everyone has a story, everyone has a journey. So,
Exactly.
I like to let people know they're not alone in any struggles or difficulties that they have in their life too.
That's a fantastic message. Also, you had on the person that makes the ball in New York City or drops the ball or
Yeah,
something like
Times
that.
Square. Yeah. So
Now, oh, go ahead, go ahead.
yeah. So they build all the advertisements in Times Square. So they got the job of dropping the ball down on millions of people.
Literally dropping the ball.
Literally dropping the ball. Yep.
uh, you've named some amazing careers and strong men and women that are out there doing jobs that most of us could never even stomach or push through doing, being first responders and such, like you've mentioned.
Oh yeah, I had a nurse too. That was a very good one.
Now,
Just being the front line of COVID, that was an amazing story,
absolutely.
and seeing what's going on. So
Yeah, absolutely. Now, what I'm doing here is I'm kind of reaching out. Not everybody, not every single person that I've talked to on this specific show that I've ever met or know. I've had some strangers reach out, and I've actually, reached out to a couple names that I wasn't aware of through other people that said, "Hey, you should have this guy on." So I've done that, but it's always been relative in wrestling, in the independent wrestling scene. You're reaching out to many facets of the world, and it's really the world because I don't know where you get all your people from, but that's my question really. How are you getting these people on your show? Are you just like randomly, man, hey man, my name is Ray Jazz, what's good? What are you doing? How's this going?
a lot of personal connections. So fortunately, I grew up in a small town called South Plainfield, New Jersey, and we were the best wrestling town in the state of New Jersey. We were the number one team in New Jersey, and just our group alone, we do pretty amazing things. One of my best friends, he was trying to make the Olympic team, so he was almost there, and then they postponed it to next year. Another one of my buddies, he works construction management now, so it's like all these people just do different things. So it's like my hometown and also my college. I went to NYU in the city, so I had the pleasure of meeting all these interesting people that work many different careers. And if it's not that I know them personally, they know a friend through a friend, and that's basically it. That personal connections is always good, and you always have a organic conversation with people that because they're more open to you and more willing to tell you what they do.
Absolutely, because speaking of the wrestling world, uh, fans aren't fans aren't really welcomed, and I'm not saying that it's like a thing, but like fans, there's the wrestling, then there's fans. There's a line that's drawn between the two worlds, if you will, um, and a lot of the fans don't get to go across said line into your men and women's world of wrestling because there's a lot of wrestling fans are fucking freak shows. Let's just say it. There's a lot of them out there that are just kind of off their gourd, I'm sorry for swearing, but I kind of get a little bit loose on the lips. I apologize for that.
That's all right. Hey, I live in Jersey. I hear it all the time, man.
But we do know there's a lot of freaky fans out there in wrestling. So that line, me being entrusted, like you're saying, that little personal connection, me being entrusted with being able to connect with you guys and women, telling your story, hanging out at a show, around, maybe outside while you're doing your thing. And I'd be like, hey, Ray, what's up? You're like, hey, Don, what's up? That kind of thing. Absolute pleasure, a privilege, and an honor, if you will. So I totally feel you with those personal connections. But I really thought you were just like grabbing random people, say, "Hey, Ray Jazz, what's going on? Let's do something."
Yeah, but speaking on the fans, man, I'm a people's person. I always been, wonder what people do for a living and everything, and just how people are, because the fans, they make wrestling. You want the fans to have that connection with you. And for me, I always wanted to connect. I always want to meet new people. I always want to talk to people, see how they're doing. That's just the person who I am. If I could help anyone, I help them in the best way I possibly could, because, you're not alone in this world, and I'm here to help as many people as I can, and wrestling's a great outlet for me to do that. And, the best thing, the fans make it, if it's not for the fans, why are you doing it? So And that's just the way I live my life. Even with amateur wrestling, I help the kids now wrestling, and I'm always willing to give back, whether it's someone going to a show or if it's someone that needs help, fixing a tire or something. I'm always willing to help, and that's just who I am as a person.
Uh, Fantastic. More fantastic messages from Ray Jazz. You are a delight, my man. Love what you represent and love how you speak. Very eloquent young man. Talk smart. He's not one of these blah, 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 blah kind of young guys. Very well spoken. Great young man. And I want to add to what you just said. The very first time that I did meet you, I could tell the way you carried yourself, because that's exactly when you're at the events. You don't carry yourself any different. I mean, yeah, there's a switch to turn on when you're a wrestler and such, and I get all of that. But you're very kind. You talk to all the fans. When the kids come up, you're more than welcoming to anybody to talk that's coming up and asking you questions. You're more than welcoming to take the time and talk to them. I seen that from the very first show. So you present that as a wrestler and as a person in life. Right at the event. So I appreciate that as a fan, my friend, because not we know how wrestling is. Not everybody is good with their time when it comes to wrestling.
Yeah, for me, it's like, when I'm doing something, I do it 100%. I don't half do anything. So when I'm there, I'm there. You're getting me. So you spent your time, you spent your money to come to that show, to see me and the other wrestlers. So I'm gonna give you my time back.
Absolutely. And I feel that should be wrestling across the board. Period. That's the way it should be. Some men and women have a little bit of different attitude. Most have yours, where they want to be part of all of that and interact. And but there are some missing from the intermissions and such. But hey, it is what it is. Everybody's got their own style.
Yeah,
it
everyone's got
is
their
what
own
it is.
style, own story. You don't
Yeah,
know what people are, what happened to people or and anything. But hey,
exactly.
for me, it'd be very hard to see me, in a bad mood, because life is limited. Life is short. So I always carry it with a smile on my face and try to make the best out of any situation. So
You absolutely do, my friend. Now, you've talked being an amateur wrestler, coming in 7th in the entire country. That is amazing. I love that stuff. You could tell as you get in the ring. Again, we're talking the very first time I've ever seen you perform in the ring. You could tell that there was definitely amateur wrestling style background, training, if you will, in what you present in the ring. It seems that you've carried that over and you're utilizing that in your character and in your wrestling style in the ring. Is that correct on saying?
yeah. So I mean, a lot of it has to do with my amateur background, but I got to give a lot of credit to my trainer, Damian Adams. He helped me make that transition. He made me help make that leap into pro wrestling, because as much as there are similarities or whatever, it's completely different. Reacting with the fans, and I was so used to, when I competed with amateur wrestling, having that tunnel vision, just me versus that other guy. Now it's like you have to interact with the fans. You have to show yourself off because you want the people to care about you or hate you.
Yeah.
But mostly care about you in my aspect.
I'm going to dive into that in a minute, because my head, again, I'm not that bright and I get really topsy-turvy really quick. But I want to talk about when I had to actually boo you before. Really threw me for a loop. Let's get back to Damian Adams. What a character he is. Wow. Now, I would actually like to talk about, you were saying that tunnel vision. We talk a lot about that on this show. I would like to gauge if you could figure out, how long did it take from when you started to when you really heard the fans connected, started reacting and using us for that energy that goes back and forth?
I mean, I'm still working on that. I mean, I could still, no one's perfect. For me, I try to get 1% better every day. You're never going to be perfect in any aspect. For me, I think I had my first match maybe 3 months in when I was training pro wrestling, So I mean, it was all right. But like I said, Damian Adams does a fantastic job on helping me with those things for sure.
Hmm. That's awesome. Because if you stay that tunnel vision, you don't get the. And I know it's about seriousness, and there's a lot of safety with that each person's body in the ring at stake, and I get that. But man, wrestling is supposed to be a lot of fun. And if you do this tunnel vision thing throughout your career and you don't interact and do that dance with both, with the fans and the wrestler, man, I'm telling you, you're missing something out in the wrestling.
Well, it's not the tunnel vision, but for me, if you don't know, I'm a very competitive person. So when I'm wrestling, it's a competition, right? It is me versus the other guy. It's brand versus brand,
Mhm.
right? So, for me, I'm competing. I want to have the best match. I want to compete the best. I want to win. And I want the fans to also feel my competitiveness. That's why I like to have a personal connection with people too, because they're part of me. They're part of my story.
Get
Just like
invested.
how my journey through destiny. And that started, when my sister passed away my junior year in college, and my mind, there it is. My mind switched there because I was even in college wrestling. I had that tunnel vision where I wanted to be a national champ, and it wasn't until my sister passed away where I was like, you know what, I need to enjoy what I'm doing. I have this goal, but I need to enjoy it doing it. Because if I don't enjoy doing it, then it's just going to be miserable. You know,
Right.
and that's how I live my life now, and that's how I live my pro wrestling career. I want to enjoy every moment that I have in that ring. Because even times like this in quarantine, we don't have those moments in the ring. We can't.
Right.
So now I'm hoping to get back soon, but I'll even appreciate it even more.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I'd like to get to the time. Uh, Actually, quite recently, right before this whole thing started, there was maybe a month or so previous to this, we were at a amazing. Tell me that setting was not amazing at ACW at the Palisades Center.
Oh, that was awesome, and I was very fortunate to be the first match. I had to come in hot, and
Yeah.
it was in Nyack, so I have a lot of history in Nyack. But yeah,
Yeah.
that was awesome. That was a great experience, and that's where everything was going pretty well. And then the whole
Yeah.
quarantine happened. I was
Mm,
finding my stride, and you know
absolutely.
I did two shows that day. So after that, I didn't get to enjoy and talk to fans after I had to go all the way down to South Jersey to wrestle
Oh,
down in
wow.
Glassboro. So from
Wow.
one great venue to another. So it was a busy day that day.
Yeah, wow. That's what we talk about, though, doing the drives, putting in the time, and making it really happen. That's the way you stride, and that's the way you get more eyes seen on you, and then those eyes tell other eyes and such, and that's how you have a great worth ethic, sir. Uh, but at that specific show, again, the great setting, 4 floors, and everybody was surrounding the floors. The floor itself was actually jam packed. It was amazing. I never seen anything like it. I hope ACW goes back there. But that specific show came out with a little chip on your shoulder. Uh, I said to my pop, because my friend Laura C, we like to go to shows, have a lot of fun. And I go, what the hell's this? She goes, yeah, what is going on? I go, I don't know, but I don't want to do this, but we have to boo Ray Jazz. I felt kind of bad, but I wanted to be part of the thing. Uh, what was going on there? How come you played a heel instead of a
Ma-
good guy?
Oh no, that was just circumstance, man. I was in the town I didn't like. I had I had unfinished business down there.
All
And then
right.
the first match, man, I was just, they caught me at a bad time.
All right.
No, but it was good. I competed, and I had to wrestle Johnny Chill. So, um, yeah, it was a great show. All the other wrestlers there was great. I didn't get to watch anyone else because I had to leave right away. I had to go to
Yeah.
that other show, but I wish I could have stayed and
Yeah.
saw the other matches and see how that planned out. But that's it. You make a commitment somewhere else, you got to go and do it. Live in the present moment. So I don't regret it. I don't regret leaving or anything. So it was good. And it's part of the game.
It is. When Ray Jazz is booked, Ray Jazz is booked. You got to go to where you're booked, man. You fill in the time slots and you try to make it work. So I'm glad it all worked out because could I ask you, doing double events like that, doesn't that doesn't that get your adrenaline just so going? You're like, all right, I got this thing going on. Now I got to take this drive, and now I got this other thing going on. That must have a little, give you a little more pep in the step, if you will. If you're just doing one show, does it give you a little different attitude?
I mean, it depends. For me, I'm used to it. Like I live in the present moment, so I credit that just my resilience from college wrestling. I had 149 wins in my college career, and I treat it like if it's a long tournament, like if it's the national tournament or the conferences, it's like, all right, you have a match now. All right, now you have time to recover. Okay, now you got it. Because I would have 5 matches in one day in amateur wrestling, so for me, that all connected. So, I mean, yeah, I have a match there. Okay, now I got to hurry up, pack my bags, and travel up. It's a little different in that aspect where you have to actually drive yourself and get to the other show. But for me, it's like, all right, here's my match. My effort goes here. All right, now what I have to do, I have to pack up, get in the bag, drive to the other show. All right, now my effort's for them. And then you reflect at the end of the day when you're finally home and you get to see your matches and see how you competed. So.
Now, obviously, that amateur wrestling really prepared you for exactly what you got to do in the pro wrestling world. Now, the footage. Do you like to go back on all of your matches? Because there's some men and women, they don't even look at maybe most of them, but there's a lot of them that do look at most of them. Are you one to look back at your matches and see what's going on there?
It's funny because in college wrestling, I didn't.
Okay.
In college wrestling, it depended on a match in a situation I was in. Like if a guy took me down on a single leg or something, I'd be like, all right, how did he get to it? How can I defend it? For me, with pro wrestling, I kind of have to, and I want to, right? Because you have to study yourself, know your habits, know your bad habits, but also know your good habits. What are you good at? That's what I did with amateur wrestling. I had a good double leg, and I convinced myself I have the best double leg in the country. So that was my go-to, the double leg. So it's kind of the same thing, So studying film's important, but it's also important to study, the veterans, of pro wrestling because they did it. They're in the shoes that you want to be at. So you have to study the best if you want to be the best.
Absolutely. Again, well spoken. Now, going the transition. It was a little bit different on the way you have to react, and there's acting involved, and there's many more aspects than an amateur style wrestling. But I'm kind of curious, and I don't like to use the word influences, but now were you looking at guys like Kurt Angle and these amateur wrestlers in the pro industry when you started that transition, or who are you looking at?
Yeah, I mean, touching on, of course, Kurt Angle, you have to study, right? Coming from my amateur background, but it's a lot of Kurt Angle, a lot of, Ken Shamrock, Owen Hart. Owen Hart, I feel, is like one of the biggest guys, one of the best guys I study. I feel like we have very similar styles. It's scary. We do a lot of the same stuff, and we have a similar build too. But you have to study people. Your same height, your same background, and everything, and that's super important.
Man, naming Owen Hart, and I know his anniversary was just like maybe a week ago or so. You saying that on this show, man, it gives me chills. I love me some Owen Hart, man. He was such a fantastic wrestler, great character, the whole psychology, man, fantastic. I'm so glad you even said his name. That was great. Excuse me. Now, I've seen you at Battlefront, obviously. It's been a couple times, and I've seen you at ACW. Now, you're from Jersey. I'm from CT, so I don't get to see you perform an awful lot live. Could you tell us, the fans, without using the 3 letters, because then we won't know what the names of the companies are, well, give us some of the promotions that Ray Jazz goes to and where they're located, so if we don't know or never heard of, we can look them up and become fans of.
Yeah, so I mean, before this whole quarantine, I was trying to go anywhere and everywhere, right? So I mean,
Absolutely.
right now, I don't know what's gonna happen, So once I do, you could just see on my social media page where I'm gonna be or where I'm gonna go. But I wrestled a lot for Dog. I'm at World of Hurt every show. I'm at World of Hurt. That's up in upstate New York, in Whitehall, New York.
Yeah.
Test of Strength. I'm usually at ACW. This promotion called Dog Wrestling down in South Jersey.
Oh, really?
But yeah. It's in Glassboro. But basically all of Northeast, you could find me, and I want to try to wrestle everywhere and anywhere. Get the best experience that I can, and know the fans in different regions of the country. So
Whenever I heard that Ray Jazz was coming to Test of Strength for the very first time, I lost my absolute crap. I'm like, I reached right out. I'm like, are you kidding me? You guys got Ray Jazz coming to Test of Strength. This is amazing. I love seeing you come to closer to my home base, because Test of Strength is definitely my home base. TAPW, TOS, those kind of companies. I love that stuff. Battlefront. I've been going there since day one when they came up. Now, I want to kind of touch upon something. I've actually seen it when it all went down on 205 Live. My man Ray Jazz, he was on 205 Live, and he didn't go against no slouch. He went against my man Jack Gallagher, if I'm not mistaken. And please tell us, the fans, talk to us about how it was getting the call on saying, hey, it's time. Why don't you come up and check it out? Because obviously you have to do a lot of feeling around and doing whatever you have to do to get there. But kind of talk to us about getting the call, going to 205 Live and performing there.
yeah, it was awesome. Great experience. Great opportunity. For me, I'm a competitor. When they ask, who wants to wrestle tonight, of course, I'm ready. I'm always ready. No matter where I am or what I'm doing, I'm always ready to wrestle. And at first they wanted to weigh me in. They didn't believe I was under 205. So I was like 195. So that was good. So it was a great opportunity. WWE is the place I want to be. As a wrestler, you should shoot for the best and always shoot for the best. You want to be WWE champ and WrestleMania, right? That's the top notch. That's where you want to be. Of course, you have AEW too. That's great. Hopefully, I could have an opportunity to wrestle there. Of course, but you always want to have these goals, right? You always want to have a short-term goal and a long-term goal. For me, with amateur wrestling, I always wanted to be a national champ. Unfortunately, I didn't achieve that goal, but I took 7th in the country, which is phenomenal. But you always want to shoot for those higher goals, and for me, short-term goal right now is get as good as I can. Long-term goal, of course, be the top wrestler in one of the top companies. That's the goal. And
absolutely,
there's no shortcuts in it. You got to work hard. You got to study. You got to, like I said, 24/7. You got to live it 24/7.
When you find out you're going against Jack Gallagher, what are you saying to yourself?
What I'm saying is just another day of wrestling. Just another day locking up and competing, doing what I love. So it was a great opportunity. So I was ready. I was ready to compete. So.
Because a lot of nerves build up when you get in these high pressure situations. But Ray Jazz, he's right there. He's not psyching himself out. He's not talking himself down. He's focused, like we were talking tunnel vision there. Very focused, my man. Kudos to you. I definitely, wow, that's awesome.
A coach used to always tell me, right? What he was like, he would say, he said, oh man, how does it go? Now I forgot. Now you put me on the spot. I forgot. As cool as a cucumber, but as serious as a heart attack.
Oh,
so, calm, cool, and collected, but when it's time to compete, you turn it up. You're ready to go.
Absolutely. I'd like to talk about the name and the character, Ray Jazz. Where does it come from? Did you make it up on your own? And also, the attire that you wear, your gear, is that your idea? Did you have some help with that? Because there's usually a support system in wrestling. Very hard to come through, especially being an amateur wrestler. I'm sure you had a huge support system. Talk to us about the name, the character, and your attire that you wear.
See, I am Ray Jazz. I mean, it's just who I am. I got that name when I was in 5th or 6th grade. A coach gave me it. You know,
Really?
it was my strength coach, Zach Evanesh. He gave me that name, and he also gave me my Twitter. He said, at the real Ray Jazz. He would always call me the real Ray Jazz. So I'm still great friends with Zach. He's my mentor. He's like my father figure in my life. He's the man. And he says, you're Ray Jazz. Ray Jazzakoff. That's gone. You're Ray Jazz. I was in 5th or 6th grade, and that's who I was at. He's like, you're a savage. You can do whatever you put your mind to. And
Wow.
that's how Ray Jazz was born, and everyone just called me Ray Jazz or just Jazz or Ray. No one really called me by my full name, except for my mom when she's mad at me. But yeah, Ray Jazz, that's who I am, and that support system. Everyone, I'm a product of all my coaches and mentors and people that are personally involved with my life. They're all part of me, part of the journey, even the fans. So that's who it is. That's the support system. My gear, I love. Purple is my color because of NYU wrestling, purple. And the person that designed my gear, that Ray Jazz logo, was my roommate in college. His name we call him his name is Don. We call him the Don. He worked for Felt while he was in school at NYU. He wrestled for NYU and then worked for Felt, which is this clothing company. And he gave me this design, and I wear it to the ring. I wear it on 205 Live, so he's connected with me like that. I'm wearing a piece of him while I go to the ring.
That is so awesome, man. Holy cow. Tying it all in, your life, you tie everything in, you try to give, like you said, you give back as much as you can, wearing your boy's logo, getting on the big stage, wearing that logo still. You didn't change it up or nothing. I appreciate that so much. Now, I got to say, Mr. Ray Jazz, I've said it a couple times, you're a very good-looking young man. You've got a fantastic physique. Obviously, you keep that going. There's no two ways about that. At the wrestling shows, the ladies must get a little kooky at the shows. Is there any kind of funny haha stories, or maybe almost kind of weird story that the ladies maybe coming at Ray Jazz at the shows? Do you have any of those stories?
No, none of those stories. None of these stories I'm willing to share now.
Oh, come on!
but college was a fun time. I'll save that story for another day, or when I see you in person. But for me, when I'm wrestling, I'm doing my thing. I'm ready to compete. I don't let any of those distractions get involved. So
I got you there. Hey, you never know, because again, wrestling fans are very unique in their own right, my friend.
But everyone's unique, not just wrestling fans.
Oh, no. Yeah. That's very evident. Everybody is definitely unique. So now, wrestling, you want to be on the big stage being the WWE platform. That is correct in saying, right?
Yeah. I mean, AEW's there too. So, we'll see where it goes. It's controlling the controllables. So what can I control now? Just focus on myself, focus on getting better in the ring every day. And
exactly.
What will be, will be. So.
Now, when you turn on the TV, do you watch wrestling? Do you schedule wrestling at all? It's Monday night, I gotta watch this, or is it Wednesday night, I gotta watch that? What are you turning on and checking out?
Well, if you want to be the best, right, you got to study the best. You got to see what's out there now. So I watch it all. You got to see what happened. You got to see what you're competing against, right? So I fit it in. Like I said, it's 24/7, man. I live it. I study it. I see what's working, what's not working. I try to put myself in those shoes, right? Mm-hmm. See what I could do if I was in that situation.
Now, I kind of like to get your take on, because of the weird situation we're in, and wrestling is still continuing while everything is kind of shut down. They're obviously doing empty arena shows. AEW brings out some of the wrestlers, do a little hoo-ha there for them. WWE has kind of started doing the same thing. But before, I want to talk about the uniqueness of something like the Money in the Bank. Did you watch Money in the Bank at all?
I have. I watched it. They had it in WWE headquarters. It was cool to see how they're making out in this time and situation. You got to adapt, overcome, and find a way to succeed. So they're working on it.
I will say, as a fan, that was totally different for me. Totally different for the company, obviously, because they've never done anything like that. But man, I thought that was a really fun ride because they did those little things, working their way up to the roof. Like barging, and I said it before this event came about. I know it's going to be pre-taped. If they don't barge into Vince McMahon's office, I'm going to be so peed off. But they did those little things like that to really make us fans pop. I thought that was a really big part of the
Yeah.
match as they worked their way up to
And
the roof.
that's awesome. They did stuff that, fans would want to see, right? It's,
Yeah,
everyone's curious. What does WWE headquarters look like? What does it look like inside? What does Vince
yeah,
look
yeah.
like? And that was pretty cool to see all that.
Yeah, looking at AJ Styles coming down the ring, seeing a gigantic picture of Rey Mysterio stopping and being scared, or Undertaker or whatever it was, those are the things that fans, we latch onto those little things. But I love that they did all of those little nuances,
Yeah, it was
good
awesome.
stuff. I thought it was very unique, Now, excuse me. Now, when we get back, obviously you have some goals that you're looking at, being promotions. But I'd kind of like to focus on your character. Do you take this Ray Jazz? Is there any evolution of the character Ray Jazz, or do you just kind of ride this and see the end game in WWE still as Ray Jazz? Because I know they threw your kind of last name out there, or
Yeah,
something was
that
going
was
on.
a
I don't know
surprise.
what that.
I didn't know they were actually going to use my last name. It was funny. People thought that was a fake last name. They're like, "Oh, look, they gave him." I'm like, "No, that's my last name. Jazz is my last name." Um, it's funny because even my friends gave me some crap. They're like, "Oh, they got your last name out there." Everyone makes fun of all my close friends. They always made fun of my last name. You can think of a million different ways you could tweak my last name, right? So it's humbling for sure.
Do you see your character as Ray Jazz in the WWE?
Hopefully, whatever will happen, right? You got to control what you can control. So, you know,
And I know once you get in there, some people, they can keep their character and their gimmick going, what they have going on in the independent scene, but sometimes they totally get revamped, repurchased, if you will. Are you willing to get a whole character change? Maybe be a heel more often than not. I wouldn't see him doing that with you, but are you willing to take those changes and work with them in such a company?
whatever happens, right? I'm up for any challenge and finding a way to make anything work. So when it happens, it happens. I'll build that bridge when I get there, right?
Yeah, awesome. I'd love to see you in the WWE stage, man. I think you would be absolutely fantastic. You are perfect for that stage. There's a lot of good companies out there. Uh, and I know we've talked, the AEW, now NWA has popped up, a very old school type of company. But I think you're absolutely perfect for the WWE, my man. Got the smile, have a beautiful attitude. You give back. And that's the thing I want to touch upon. On your Facebook, because I follow that more than anything else, to be honest. I'm a Facebook guy. Uh,
Yeah.
you are with the kids a lot, doing a lot of cool stuff with the community. Talk to us, to the fans, of a couple. Is there any certain charities or certain things that you do specifically, or what do you do here?
Yeah, so I mean, one of my main goals, right? I talk about long-term goals is that eventually I want to have a charity, and I'm going to call it Journey Through Destiny, which is going to help out, kids and stuff. I'm still thinking about what it would be. I was throwing up some ideas this week, what it could be, whether it's helping kids get school supplies or wrestling gear, right? I'm an amateur wrestler, so I help. I'm the head middle school coach in this town called Berkeley Heights. Shout out CMS. And that's why on Facebook, I'm big on Facebook, because all the parents are on Facebook and they love to see how the kids are doing it. They're, if they're winning, how they're training and everything. They love to see that. And it's important for me because I'm coaching these kids from scratch and I'm turning them into, pretty top-notch wrestlers. We had 7 or 8 state qualifiers, and unfortunately the state tournament got canceled, but it was great to see, and great to see my impact. That's the biggest reward to see, when you're coaching these kids and what you're telling them is working, and they're improving every time they step on that mat. So that's very important to me.
And I know amateur wrestling is amateur wrestling. I used to take my stepson to amateur wrestling at the Boys and Girls Club. Did a couple seasons of that, had a blast. But it's a totally different environment, obviously. But do they make up their own little kind of wrestling names at all in amateur wrestling?
Not really. It's not really something they do. Sometimes if they're pro wrestling fans, they'll try it. They want me to show them some drop kicks and stuff, but I said nope. You got to get good at amateur wrestling first. I told them there's no shortcuts.
Yeah, definitely. Because I love seeing when they do, when they bring the kids out there, when they do the Make a Wishes and such, and they give them all like these cool, Connor the Crusher and such. I think that's fantastic, man. I love that stuff so much. Uh, so, do you see yourself maybe in the future? And I know you're kind of live the moment kind of guy, but you sound like I could totally see this in the future, maybe opening up a wrestling facility or something to that nature to really get the kids really coming up through that amateur style. Could you see yourself doing something like that in the future?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I talk about it sometimes. You always gotta see the bigger picture at the end of the day, and that would be really cool to have like this giant facility with a weight room, wrestling mats, a ring. That'd be pretty cool. So eventually, maybe, but right now, focus on what I can focus on. Get
Yeah.
a big building and just have everything. It'd be funny. I would dedicate certain parts of the building to someone. Like the weight room would be the Zach Evanesh room. The wrestling room would be the Damian Adams room. That'd be pretty cool, right?
Yeah, wouldn't that be awesome, dude?
Yeah. The amateur wrestling match would be Bruce Taberley. That was my college coach. So I could definitely see that.
Hey, food for thought for the future of Ray Jazz. Don't nobody be stealing that idea, damn you. Don't be doing
that. Guy got to put an LLC on
that. Now, what is Ray Jazz doing? Because the gyms have been closed, and you have a great physique going on, and I know that you don't want to let that go. What has Ray Jazz been doing to keep that physique going while we're all kind of in a weird time right now?
Yeah, so I got my bands. I got a little weight room kind of deal. It's like small weights and a squat rack. So it's like you got to adapt. So do I have cable machines? No, but do I have free weights? Yep, free weights, a barbell. Going on runs, right? You're not restricted to going on runs. And the most important thing right now is diet, right? As much as you don't want to control it, it's important, especially if you want to keep that physique, keep the muscle on. You gotta be strict on your diet. So that's all it really is. It sucks, right? But you could complain about it, or you could make the most out of it, right? So that's what I'm doing.
So without details and stuff, what kind of diet is one Ray Jazz kind of into?
I mean, it's nothing crazy. It's just like if it's healthy, eat it, right? If I eat a lot of protein. I call it the caveman diet, right? So if a caveman would eat it, I should too, right? A lot of veggies, the ground turkey, all that stuff. But black coffee, nothing in. I only drink coffee or water. That's basically it, and that's it. Basically it. No sweets or anything, but a lot of protein, a lot of ground turkey, a lot of ground chicken, a lot of veggies. So that's basically it. It's pretty boring, but that's basically all it is.
They had ground turkey in the caveman days?
Yeah, I guess they would kill a turkey and just ground it up and then save it for later, right?
Oh God, I'd like to talk about Mr. Matt Montana and because you were you've done some tagging. Am I correct on saying that?
Yeah, we're the outdoorsman and just Ray Jazz, right?
Yeah,
it's great tagging with him because he trains with us at Team Adams, right? And Team Adams, we're a family. That's what we do. We do everything together. We learn how to wrestle, we learn how to compete, and we learn how to brand each other and just take care of each other. Traveling on a road with each other, learning the rules of the road, learning a bunch of stuff together. And that's what we are. We're a family at Team Adams, and Damian Adams does great things with all his students. We have Carissa Rivera. We had I call Deanna the godfather of Team Adams. She's the one that built it. Unfortunately, I came right when she was signed, so I didn't get to train with her at all. But it's great to see how we're all a community. And that's special. And that's how amateur wrestling was. I wrestled for NYU Wrestling, and we're all a big family, and we all still talk every day. And it's the same thing with Team Adams, and it's important doing it because we're all doing it together.
Was it hard to adapt from being not only a singles wrestler but an amateur wrestler for so long? Obviously, you do that on your own, but transitioning into doing tag team wrestling because it's a totally different dynamic.
Oh yeah, for sure, it is completely different. But that's why you train, right? That's why you train and you work that stuff out and you figure it out. And you have your partner there too, so you have to trust each other, and hopefully you guys are on the same page, right? So that's it. That's why it's easy to especially tag with someone that you train with, because you guys are on the same level and you guys are thinking the same things, and that's it. The best thing is I'll go to Matt. I'd be like, Matt, you think Damien would be mad if we do this? You think Damien, But no, it is challenging, but like for me, I like to figure out challenges and I like to learn everything that I possibly can.
Now, I take my dad to all of the shows. He's retired. We have a lot of fun. And we both love us some Ray Jazz. But when we've seen you and Mr. Montana together, and I know this is a dated reference, but we call you the odd couple. I don't know if you know who or what that is, but we call you the odd couple because you two are so different than to each other, but it absolutely works. And you guys have a lot of fun in the ring, and it gives us a lot of fun outside the ring. So I appreciate all of that.
Yeah, thanks. I appreciate it. But Matt's awesome, man.
He is very creative,
Yeah,
very creative.
You got to get him on this.
Oh my God, why haven't I got? And he's so bored. Oh my goodness, I should have got him like 100 episodes ago. The guy is so bored.
The outdoorsman stuck in the indoors.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. I'm not that bright, Mr. Jazz. I'm gonna have to get on that and get Mr. Montana in on here.
I'll make a call for it. Make a call for it.
Now, I kind of like to talk about the spiritual end of one Mr. Ray Jazz, because you did kind of talk about it really quickly, and I did want to get back to that. Talk to us about what spiritual things that you have going on in your life.
I mean, I think everything happens for a reason. So when I was a kid, my grandfather was a big pro wrestling fan, and he was the one that took me, to my first wrestling, my wrestling practice, and I thought there was gonna be a ring and stuff. It would have been cool, but then it's these circle mats, and you have to wear a singlet. But me just being competitive, I wanted to be the best amateur wrestler I could possibly be, right? So while I was focusing on being the best amateur wrestler I possibly could, another thing happened in my life where the Ultimate Warrior came to my gym with Zach Evanesh. He was good friends with Zach Evanesh. So you could picture a young Ray Jazz going into high school, getting ready to wrestle, amateur wrestler. He would have talks with us at the gym, and he would pump us up, man.
Awesome.
So then it was that, and then my sister passed away, and she was like a wrestling fan with my grandfather growing up, and they were fans with Bob Backlund. And it's funny, I used to help this high school in Midwood in New York City, Brooklyn. And their coach, his name was George Hero, and he used to help me out with helping them coach the team, and he used to help. He's a scholar, man. He's also a professor at Brooklyn College, so I would pick his brain about certain things, and he would help me tweak my papers here and there. And he used to work for Vince McMahon Sr. back in the day, and it was pretty cool. And he was good friends with Bob Backlund. So when I graduated college, he had me talk to Bob Backlund, and it's funny. George thought he would convince me not to get into it, but it was the complete opposite. Bob actually got me into it. So I was actually at a job interview in the city, and it would cut out, and I'm like, oh man, Bob Backlund, he's gonna be mad. My phone's cut off. There's no service in the subway, and he left a voicemail, and it was amazing. I called him right back. I decided to take that tie off. I threw it in the garbage. If it was a bow tie, it would have been even better. And he convinced me. But, and I was also training some guys at Henzo Gracie Amateur Wrestling, training some of the fighters, and there was a couple of pro wrestlers in there too. So they were like talking to me about it and everything. So, I was all in after Bob talked to me. I think he introduced me to Damien, and actually there's through a couple people he introduced me to Damien, but he told me, I know this really good guy in Jersey. Should try to get in touch with him. And, I got in touch with Damien, and I've been, full speed ever since. So I think I'm coming around, I think almost 2 years now.
Funny you mentioned Bob Backlund is the one who really got you in. My very first live event ever, 1978. Yes, 78. I'm old as a dinosaur. Yes. I was 8 years old, Bristol Central High School. the main event, the champ, Bob Backlund himself was defending the belt against Cowboy Bob Orton. There's two matches that I really remember from that specific event. That's one of them. And then there was Ivan Putski and Tito Santana, champions, going against the Wild Samoans with Lou Albano. So seeing Bob Backlund that first time, that's what really, really got me into wrestling, is remembering that one match, because I can actually remember little tidbits of that match, the way the lighting was, how it actually smelled in that auditorium. I remember those little kind of nuances, and that brings me back right to Mr. Bob Backlund. So it's really crazy that you mentioned his name.
Yeah, my grandfather was a huge fan of him. My grandfather, my mom, and my sister too. So I was like, oh, this is amazing. My and then my grandfather passed away at the same time as my sister. I was like, the fruit, they're smiling up above. So it was a great moment.
Do you have, because you set goals? Do you have a set goal? If I don't get to WWE at X year or whenever, do you have anything set? And then it's like, okay, if I don't get to there at this point, I'm going to move on and do something else in life.
Yeah, I mean, I guess put that NYU degree to use, right? But yeah, I mean, I got a lot of crap from a couple people. Oh, you're wasting your NYU degree, blah blah blah. I tell them no, I'm doing what I love. So, I'll build that bridge when I have to, right? When that moment comes. But right now I'm coaching, and I help with the sports psychologist company too. So I do that with wrestling, and everything that I'm doing now, I feel like it's with a purpose, right? Not only am I building this pro wrestling career that I love, but I'm also helping kids, coaching kids, and doing the best I can for people. So right now I'm living my life the way, the way I feel I want to. So it's actually, it's great right now. So, I mean, besides the whole quarantine, but this whole quarantine, really allows you to think about what you really enjoyed before everything happens. So when the time's right, you just step your game up even more and really enjoy the moment.
Absolutely. Now, there's a question that's been I've been very curious, because you have been seen on 205 Live. Now, did that change anything in your career? Because as a fan, very curious. Did you find that maybe more promotions were reaching out to you instead of you reaching out to them? Or did anything change a little bit in that?
I mean, a little bit. I mean, people kind of knew who, people recognize you now a little bit. And, it's weird now because I was already booked for a couple companies and everything. And, and then the whole quarantine. So, I mean, it's hard to tell now, it's just a weird situation, right?
Yeah. Because it did kind of tie in not that long before this all went down.
Yeah, it was November. So this happened, February. So, I mean,
yeah.
It was unfortunate times, but everything happens for a reason, and we'll see what happens.
Well, Mr. Ray Jazz, I could talk to you all day, all night, because I love me some Ray Jazz. Always have from the very first minute I met you, my man. Knew that you stood for good things in and out of the ring, just by the way you carried yourself as a gentleman coming at the event. Mr. Ray Jazz, it's been an absolute pleasure sitting down, talking to you, getting a little to get to know you a little bit better, because at the events everything's pretty busy and topsy-turvy. So I really appreciate you sitting down tonight and talking to us, the fans.
Yeah, I appreciate you, Don. I mean, I always love to see you at the events, and I really appreciate everything you do. Filming our matches, making those gifts. Those are awesome. But we really, I appreciate you and your support and everything, and even your podcast. You really love professional wrestling, and I appreciate that, and that's what it's all about. Fans like you and everything, and I really appreciate it. And you're a part of my journey, just as much as my family, friends, and everyone else. So I want you to know that you're part of this journey as well.
Wow, I really appreciate that, because when we did the exchange of this shirt, I really felt some love right there, my friend. And you said, wear this with pride. And I go, I absolutely will. And you gave me that little backstory about your sister. So I always wear it. When I put this on, I'm like, I got Ray Jazz shirt on, baby. So yeah, I've always always had that respect for you, Mr. Jazz. And I appreciate those kind words. I really do. Before I do let you go, though, where the fans, if we don't know you, now that we do, where can we find you on all of the medias?
Yeah, so I'm a big Instagram guy. So, you know, you can follow me on Instagram, Ray_Jazz. I don't know. Someone else already had Ray Jazz. I guess it was like some jazz musician. But Ray_Jazz on Instagram, which is like probably one of my biggest outlets. I mean, now TikTok. I have a lot of followers on TikTok, actually. So that grew quick. I mean, one of my middle school kids were like, "Coach, you should get TikTok. Here, I'll make it for you." And then I have all these followers. So TikTok's a big thing now. So TikTok's, I think it's just Ray Jazz on TikTok. And then Twitter is, you know, Twitter, I'm not that popular on Twitter. I don't know why. But Twitter is at the real Ray Jazz. And then, of course, Facebook, Ray Jazz. So everything's just Ray Jazz. You can find it. But,
Nice.
you know, I appreciate you, and I appreciate everyone that shows their love and support. You know, they're all part of it.
Absolutely. We love wrestling. We love supporting the wrestlers, the men and women that give us these great memories to take home and give us those moments in time where we'll always remember. Like we were talking, Bob Backlund versus Cowboy Bob Orton. I'll never forget the first time I've ever met you, seeing you in the ring. I'm like, I got to see more of Ray Jazz. So this has been excellent, and I cannot wait. In the future, maybe we could get a follow-up and see what Ray Jazz is up to in the future.
Always, anytime you're willing to talk, man. I'll always have time for you, my bro. Always.
I appreciate that. That would be amazing. Fantastic soiree we had here with one Mr. Ray Jazz. This is Stirring the Pot with Don Kincaid and my very special guest, Ray Jazz.
Awesome. Thank you. I really appreciate it.